In the summer of 1940, the world was already caught in the storm of war. Europe was burning. Mechanized divisions were rewriting the rules of combat. Fast, mobile, adaptable. The United States hadn't yet joined the fight, but the Army could already see it coming. They needed a new kind of vehicle, small, agile, tough, something that could go where tanks couldn't. So they issued a challenge to America's automakers. Build us a light reconnaissance vehicle, four-wheel drive, quarter-ton payload, less than 75-inch wheelbase. It must climb hills, cross rivers, and survive the front lines. More than 130 companies received that brief. Only 3 replied. American Bantam was the first, a tiny company from Pennsylvania. In just 75 days, they produced the first prototype. But Bantam didn't have the production capacity. Soon, 2 bigger players stepped in, Willys Overland and Ford Motor Company. They refined the design, strengthened the engine, and turned the military's dream into reality. By 1941, the Willys MB and Ford GPW were rolling off the lines, twin siblings of the same DNA. Over 600,000 were built during the war. And yet, even today, nobody knows exactly where the name Jeep came from. Some say it came from the military code GP, meaning general purpose. Others say it was inspired by Eugene the Jeep, a small magical creature from the Popeye cartoons who could go anywhere. The truth is probably somewhere in between, but the name stuck, and soon so did the legend. One day a Willys test driver, trying to prove the little machine's strength, drove the prototype straight up the steps of the U.S. Capitol in Washington. The crowd laughed, cheered, and newspapers the next day had one caption: "It's a Jeep." And just like that, an icon was born. Across the battlefields of World War II, the Jeep became more than just a vehicle. It became a soldier's best friend. It carried commanders, doctors, wounded troops, weapons, and hope. It towed cannons, served as ambulances, radio stations, and even makeshift trains. It could be dropped by parachute, floated across rivers, or repaired with a wrench and a hammer. General George C. Marshall once called it America's greatest contribution to modern warfare. And he wasn't wrong. In the mud of Europe, the deserts of Africa, the jungles of the Pacific, the Jeep proved one thing: simplicity can win wars. When the war ended in 1945, tanks were retired, bombers were scrapped, but the Jeep didn't disappear. It transformed. Willys saw potential beyond the battlefield. They rebranded the military hero as a farmer's tool, a worker's companion, and an adventurer's dream. The first civilian model, the CJ, civilian Jeep, was introduced the same year. Its message was simple: if it could survive war, it can survive your driveway. Soon, Jeeps were plowing fields, pulling trailers, climbing mountains, and appearing in adventure magazines. It became the perfect mix of utility and freedom, the machine that didn't care about roads, rules, or limits. Over the decades, Jeep evolved, but it never lost its roots. The CJ turned into the Wrangler, the first true off-road icon. Then came the Wagoneer, the birth of the luxury SUV. Then Cherokee, Grand Cherokee, Renegade, each adapting to a new generation, but carrying that same rugged heart. Still, the path wasn't always smooth. Jeep passed through many corporate hands: Kaiser, AMC, Chrysler, Fiat Chrysler, and now Stellantis. Each era brought new ideas, but also new identity crises. Was Jeep supposed to stay a tough, muddy military off-roader, or become a polished, comfortable family SUV? The brand had to walk a tightrope between authenticity and modernization. But even as the world changed, even as roads got smoother and drivers less adventurous, the Jeep spirit refused to die. Because Jeep stopped being just a name, it became a symbol, a universal word for capability, freedom, and adventure. You don't have to own one to know what it means. When someone says Jeep, you picture a trail, a mountain, a muddy river crossing, not a showroom. The origins of the word itself are still debated. During the war, Jeep was just slang for any untested prototype. In 1946, Willys Overland trademarked the name, turning military slang into one of the most powerful automotive brands in history. A company built on improvisation and urgency became a symbol of reliability and endurance. Fast forward to today, Jeep has evolved into something far beyond its humble roots. The Wrangler still carries the DNA of the Willys MB, removable doors, fold-down windshield, and that same upright stance. The Grand Cherokee added luxury, technology, and performance. And now the newest models are going electric, combining rugged off-road power with silent, futuristic drive systems. From a vehicle that once ran on battlefield grit to one that now runs on lithium batteries, Jeep has always been about one thing: freedom of movement. It's not about horsepower or luxury, it's about possibility. And maybe that's why Jeep's story hits so deeply. Because it isn't just a story about engineering, it's about resilience, about how something designed for destruction became a tool for exploration, about how something born out of necessity became an emblem of freedom. You see it in veterans restoring their old war Jeeps. You see it in off-road clubs gathering on weekends. You see it in the dusty Wranglers climbing rocks in Moab, or the quiet Cherokees parked in suburban driveways. It connects generations. A grandfather once drove one into battle. Now his grandson drives one into the mountains. The Jeep didn't just survive history, it helped shape it. It bridged the worlds of war and peace, work and play, necessity and desire. It taught the world that adventure isn't a luxury, it's a human instinct. And that's why, more than 80 years later, the Jeep still carries the same simple motto: go anywhere, do anything. It's not a slogan, it's a promise, one forged in mud, fire, and freedom. So the next time you see that unmistakable 7-slot grill rolling down the street, remember, you're not just looking at a car. You're looking at a piece of history that refuses to stand still. A living reminder that some legends aren't built in boardrooms or factories. They're built on the road and far beyond it.